Welcome 5th grade social studies scholars to another Passport to Social Studies video. My name is Mr. Giordano and I will be your teacher for today. Today, we will be looking at our Unit 3 topics, Dominican Republic, a case study. And we are going to be focused on our day 1 through 3 lessons. The topic of these lessons will be the Dominican Republic. How does where you live affect how you live? Our focus question is, how do geographical features and regional characteristics influence human settlement, land use, and economic opportunities? Our learning objective will be to explore the idea of how where you live affects how you live by analyzing specialized maps of the Dominican Republic. Our goal for the next few days will be starting our study of the world's community known as the Dominican Republic. You will be learning about and looking at a variety of thematic maps and internet and text sources to create your own thematic map of the Dominican Republic. By making your own thematic map, you will better understand how where you live affects how you live. You will also be using a tree map to organize information for the thematic map that you will create. Today, we will be reviewing what a tree map is and how we'll practice using the sources provided to complete one together. In the second video in this series, we will be reviewing how to use our completed tree map to create our own thematic maps using Google Slides. For our introduction, let's take a look at the outline map below of the island Hispaniola. The Dominican Republic is the country on the right, or the east, shaded in white. The country of Haiti is on the west, the left side of the map shaded in gray. This is a blank outline map, and it only shows the outline of the country and the rivers. Thinking about the geography of a place like this, you can really start to get a sense of what it may be like. The idea of living on an island and that isolation is clear just by looking at this map. Today, we are going to review the geography of the Dominican Republic. We will be doing this by taking a look at some thematic maps. A thematic map focuses on a specific theme or subject area. This is different from general reference maps, which typically show both physical and political information. Thematic maps provide specific information about a particular place and only show coastlines, boundaries, and places as points of reference for the theme that is being mapped. Thematic maps can represent almost any kind of information, such as population density, the location of public transportation, climate, health issues, poverty rates, voting rates, etc. Here are some examples of thematic maps. The theme of the map on the left is land use. The map shows how land is used in North America. The map on the right shows us how long the growing season is in different parts of North America. You can see both maps include important features such as a key or legend to help tell us what the different colors represent on the maps. Today and in the next lesson, you are going to design and create a thematic map of the Dominican Republic. The map should include informational text and will help us answer the question, how does where you live affect how you live? When a cartographer or someone who makes maps designs a thematic map, they show the information in a way that is easy for the audience to use and understand. The cartographer uses symbols that represent data and information in a way that is easy to interpret. Here's an example of how thinking about this question can apply to where we live. The question that we're looking to answer today is, how does where you live affect how you live? So let's think about where we live. In New York City, an urban place that is highly populated along this Hudson River. Just by taking a look at this map, we can really get a sense of that highly populated city. Now let's think about how we live in a simple way, such as our subways and our MTA routes, and how transportation is so important in our city. Based on the way that our city is set up and how it is highly populated, impacts the way that we live, using various subway routes and buses to get around our highly populated city. Let's take a look at this tree map, because this is our first step in creating our own specialized map. As you do your research, you will be adding your research notes to your tree to help you organize all your information. Then you will decide how categories and information to put on the map. Every group's map will be different. As you can see, this thematic map includes waterways, wildlife, and plant life, and then gives us extra spaces to add our own categories. As you do your research today, you will need to do the following. Step 1 would be to look at the maps on the next few slides and scan the websites provided. You also then want to look at step 2, which is to decide what categories interest you. Categories could include crops, waterways, land use, climate, population density, etc. Step 3 is to look at the maps and the websites, thinking of your 2 to 3 main categories, and start collecting details such as facts, information, etc. about your selected categories. Step 4 would be to put this information on the tree map, and you can make your own using a Google Doc or another resource, or you can use the one provided on the next slide. This is an example of a tree map that you can type directly into, and you can edit on your own to further add information to the categories provided or create your own. Again, our question today is, how does where you live affect how you live? Here are some examples of some thematic maps focusing on different topics. This thematic map focuses on population, and as we can see by the colors in the bottom, we know which areas are highly populated and which areas are not as populated based on the colors. The yellow would be less populated, whereas the dark green shows a higher population, possibly where the major cities are located in the Dominican Republic. The next slide shows us a thematic map of the economic activity in the Dominican Republic, looking at various cultivation and crops that are grown, as well as other types of economic activity on this island. And finally, our last thematic map example shows us land utilization in the Dominican Republic, showing us which land is used for crops, forests, swamps, marshes, savannas, and other types of environments. Okay, everyone, for your independent work, you're encouraged to check out at least 2 of these websites and really get a sense of some information that you may want to include on your thematic map. Now that you have all of your sources, such as the maps and the websites, you can go off and start your research in your groups and collect and organize all your information on your tree map that I provided you with in the beginning of this activity, or you can create your own on a separate Google Doc. Remember, your goal is to create your own thematic map that will help answer the question of how where one lives impacts how one lives. Here's an example of a completed tree map. This example shows us waterways, including the various waterways on the island of the Dominican Republic, some crops that are grown in this country, and then some major cities within the country, as well as important landmarks or parks. This tree map is certainly going to push us as thinkers to really understand how the way that people live and where they live impacts what they do and how they actually function on an everyday basis. We can really start to think about how the major cities and major parks are located by waterways and what types of crops are grown by these waterways to help the city and the people function and live. Okay, everyone, awesome job today, and I hope that this completed example of a tree map really helped you better understand your mission moving forward. Now, what you're going to do with your group is to complete your own thematic map, but first, you're going to use the information that you've collected and recorded on your tree map. The next video in this series will show you how to create your thematic map using a Google slide. Great work today, social studies scholars. I will see you next time, and happy learning.